Today on the Topping Show, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren both have meltdowns during the RFK Jr. hearing, where they just also happen to be the big pharma's top recipients. The former HHS Rachel Levine goes viral in a video being roasted. Trump signs executive order banning trans surgeries on minors. Porsche make their cars in the USA for the first time ever in order to avoid some of the proposed Trump tariffs. Costco replaces Pepsi with Coke after 12 years. A 489 rapper named Dank demoss is suing Lyft for discrimination because one of the drivers would not allow her to get in his vehicle, and Honda to recall nearly 300,000 vehicles for a software issue. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Porsche and Audi saying they might make their vehicles in the USA for the first time in order to avoid some of the proposed Trump tariffs, which a Porsche 911 made in America. I'm so conflicted. Now, this comes to us thanks to The Drive, specifically Rowan Glone, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, Porsche Audi could build cars in the USA to avoid tariffs report. And they note that Volkswagen could expand its Chattanooga, Tennessee factory to build Porsche and Audi models in the US for the first time, which, I mean, when I think of the coolest of all the portfolio, I would say that, yeah, bar none, Porsche's the coolest, partially because, you know, sports car with the stick shift is a rare thing these days. But again, the Volkswagen portfolio also includes Audi as well as, well, the VW brand specifically, but also Ducati, Bugatti, as well as Lamborghini. They have a lot of cool things in their portfolio. Things aren't doing great for Volkswagen, specifically that name, but the rest is doing quite well. Porsche sales jumping through the roof last year, especially in the United States. Now here you can see one of the iconic Porsche 911s, which they're already a pretty penny. Now, the only question is, how much would that increase the cost of goods sold made in America with American labor, laws, rules, regulations, versus if you still made it in Germany, but with the proposed tariffs? And not to mention the setup time and, you know, retooling and training the employees. And then you have the debate of American workers versus German workers. And some people argue to the red in the face with German craftsmanship, which I think you're partially paying for. This partially of the allure to the brand is good old Stuttgart. You know, it's, for Christ's sakes, it's on the logo itself as the city of assembly. Now, specifically getting to the article, they note that, quote, Porsche and Audi are open to building cars in the United States if Trump administration imposes new, much higher tariffs on vehicles imported from Europe and Mexico, according to a recent report. The looming tariffs could be enacted as early as, you know, today, 2025. Now, citing German business paper, and I mean, I'm not intentionally going to butcher this, but I suspect I will butcher this name, Handelsblatt. There's like 1% chance I got that right. An industry trade journal, the Automotive News, wrote that Porsche and Audi are dangerously exposed to the new administration's proposed tariffs because both brands import all their vehicles and they sell in the United States. Porsche sources all of its models from Europe, the 911, the iconic sports car, the 718, the iconic, what used to be the entry-level sports car, which still 76 grand is a lot of money, more than many of us can fathom. But, you know, they also note that Europe might kill that due to the EU cybersecurity and tyrannical laws, but to make an EV. But nevertheless, for now, it's still the Porsche 718. Also the Panamera, which is, you know, the sedan. The Taycan, which is the EV sedan, which, yeah. And both versions of the Macan are built in Germany, while the Cayenne is built and made in Slovakia, which, yeah, would not have gotten that right on a bingo scorecard. They note that the Audi's Q5 is made in Mexico, while many of the other models in the range are imported from Europe. They note that there's no way that either brand can set up manufacturing operation in the United States before Trump's deadline. You can't pull a big lever to start building a car somewhere. Realistically, the shift will take months at the very least and likely years. However, anonymous company sources told the news outlet that Porsche and Audi could turn the parent company Volkswagen to skirt profit-robbing tariffs as quickly as possible. One of the options being evaluated is expanding the Chattanooga, Tennessee factory that currently makes the Atlas and the ID4, the SUVs, which, anecdotal evidence, I've seen 2, of which one person I know likes it. They note that the plant has excess capacity, according to Automotive News, and it could be scaled up to build more cars. Audi is also open to making cars in the factory at Volkswagen-owned Scout Building in South Carolina, which is one of their subsidiary off-brands, which also, that one is tooling up to make the Terra and Traveler trucks. They note that Scout's plant isn't scheduled to open until 2027, however. So, yeah, talk about accelerating a opening. That'd take a lot of resources. Now, they note that Trump has not confirmed the new tariffs will be enacted as soon as February 1st. As of this writing, the tariffs represent more of a threat than policy decision, and the administration hasn't officially decided how high the tariffs should be. Now, Trump also said we are thinking in terms of 25% in Mexico and Canada, and I think we'll do it February. Which, again, he also says, quote, detail, the European Union is very, very, this is Trump speaking, what am I thinking? The European Union is very, very bad to us, so they're going to be in for the tariffs, but it's the only way, you've got to have the fairness, unquote, which, yeah, the EU is very tyrannical, I would say morally vacuous and bad for business. Don't get me started on the censorship that they have on the citizens there. Yeah, them trying to destroy Porsche by bastardizing the brand by making EVs, especially the EV Cayman, which, yeah, there's a reason that got kicked back another year because, yeah, it's going to be hard to make a fun sports car, 2-door, that's an EV. Especially because, again, if it's for the track, like all fun Porsches are engineered for, well, yeah, spoiler alert, you can't take an EV to the track and recharge between sessions, let alone for the safety equipment and insurance requirements that most plants don't have for lithium-ion battery-powered vehicles. I partially digress. Now, they also note that Volkswagen builds several other brands in Mexico, including the Taycan, and warned that the Trump administration could have a harmful impact on the economy there. So, I mean, that's the issue. You really need stability, from a government perspective in terms of a Trump administration. These changes are going to take a lot of time. And then there's also the debate, part of the allure is the Stuttgart assembled, engineered, manufactured Porsche 911. And truth be told, I'm probably butchering that city, as iconic as it is. But there are some great things made in America. I mean, this table is made in America by me. But in all seriousness, I love my Vitamix blender. That thing's darn near bulletproof, going on 10 plus years. Shoot, love my AR-15. That's as bulletproof as you can get. I mean, I'm probably the only person I know who has now my 17th pair, I think, of New Balance 990s made exclusively in the USA. So don't get me wrong, I'm a huge proponent of made in the USA. Even my fun little jewelry is a functional tool. That's jewelry for women. I have a functional, cool tool on my wrist. But it's all made in the USA. However, it's one of those things where when it comes to cars, again, you gotta be careful with single variable analysis, but the most unreliable cars consistently are always made in the USA by the United Auto Workers. And again, I've had family on both sides of the union, and hear stories good and bad. But I think it's fair to say that's a contributing factor of why a lot of U.S. made vehicles are more expensive and less reliable. Again, it's not the single variable analysis, but is I believe, a major component and variable that contributes to it. I mean, shoot, geez Louise, you had Ford F-150 trucks with mismatching headlights and seats last year, which, again, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a genius, but even I could probably note that 2 headlights look different. The assembly line worker either didn't care or they just didn't notice at all. So, again, I wish I was getting a Porsche. I mean, I got a Honda Civic Si in my rental garage, but it's a dream to have a Porsche 911. It's got stick shift. It's a blast, but I think it would lose some of the allure if instead of their iconic Porsche badge, instead of saying Stuttgart, said, America. And I love American made. I don't think I would go for it though. If it's already a Porsche 911, I believe it starts at $119,000. And the price is just going to go up through the roof if it's unionized labor. I mean, I think it would lose part of the allure of what Porsche is. Granted, people said the same thing about Porsche making SUVs. It would destroy the brand, and now it's, should be told, the most profitable thing, because not only do they sell a lot of units, but it's also SUVs, and Americans love to pay through the nose for those things. So I may very well be wrong, but to me, a Porsche should be made in Germany. And I think if they ask Trump, they'll have exemptions for like the 911 and the Cayman, maybe, because again, Trump has done exceptions before. When he was first in office, he did exemption he met with Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, because Apple obviously makes the majority of their stuff in China, or Trump would say China. So they're going to be kneecapped pretty bad. And Trump gave Tim Cook an exception. Now, for government, Apple phones, they do make a couple of those in the USA. Very, very expensive, but more secure. But you did get a major exception for the majority of Apple products. So maybe that's what Volkswagen Group will do in this case. Tell Trump they'll make some more SUVs here, but leave the 911 and the Cayman alone. That's what I suspect will happen, because again, Trump likes to make deals. If they show that they're increasing the investment in the U.S. operations for like the SUVs and the crossovers, but they just want to keep a couple things, I think Trump would make that deal. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Costco replacing Pepsi with Coca-Cola for the first time in 12 years. And you do have to give Costco credit. To this day, the combo for the hot dog and drink is still $1.50, which at this point, yeah, they're definitely losing money, but brilliant marketing and dedication to having value for the consumer. Now, this comes to us thanks to The Sun, although I don't think it's actually written on The Sun. If they were a major publisher working on The Sun, they would surely melt. But false advertising set aside, I partially digress. Specifically, Chris Bradford, who's a writer over there, says, quote, "Something fizzy, Costco CEO confirms Pepsi has been removed from the food courts as the popular drink returns for the first time in 12 years. Which, again, I think the only major brand partnership in terms of Coca-Cola being affiliated with would probably be McDonald's, and now, again, Costco. Which, yeah, I mean, it's iconic. They're probably going to get some increased advertising. I debate if this is a loss leader for these companies, because, again, the real retail is traditionally you want to make a 50% profit up front. Again, it's not your net profit at the end of the day. But again, you have overhead if you have employees, heating, cooling, electricity, internet, all for those facilities. So usually in order to just make a little bit of profit, which again, industry average for grocery stores is about 2%, well, you only have about 50% upfront profit. Now, at $1.50 for the hot dog and the fountain drink, I mean, there's just no way that Coca-Cola or Pepsi is going to make any. I don't think they make any profit on this. I think it's purely marketing. And again, it's great brand awareness. I mean, just looking up and seeing that combo being unchanged for that price point for over decades, that's a great loss leader to get people in the door. And it's just great, really legendary advertising. Now, diving into the specific article, and here you can see some of the what will now soon be the formal PepsiCo machines, which, again, looks like they have 3 fountain drink dispensers and a bunch of banners. And yeah, I mean, just in this one picture, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of their logos, which, again, talk about brand awareness. You're not going to miss that at all. And they say, quote, "The CEO of Costco confirmed that Pepsi will no longer be sold at the food courts across the U.S. Ron Vachis confirmed that the brand will be replaced by its rival Coca-Cola in the drinks switch-up. He announced that the drinks shake-up, as the shareholders meeting was commencing. Pepsi has been a consistent brand of the food court across the nation for 12 years. The brand's day appeared to be numbered, as the change will happen in the summer, but his decision seems to spark a division among shoppers. Members have spoken out. They've waited a long time for the change to take place. One shopper saying, quote, "About time, Pepsi is gross," which I debate how many people can really tell the difference if you're a blind taste test. They've done multiple studies, and more often than not, if it's just a sip, they choose Pepsi. But if you have to drink the whole thing, they choose Coke. That seems to be what the study finds consistently. Now, another person said, quote, "Good move, Costco." Another person said, quote, "Looks like the return of Coke to Costco food courts is definitely going to be a hit." And someone says some are just got a little bit sweeter. Others have vowed that they want to see a vanilla Coke option on the offer to diners, which, yeah, I'm not sure how popular that flavor is. But again, if you look at the fountain beverage machines, it looks like they probably have about 8 dispensers or 8 flavors per dispenser. So again, they're all going to be Coca-Cola properties, so stuff in their brand portfolio. I don't know if vanilla is enough to warrant an individual. Again, get 8, 16, 12. I guess in total you have 24 little dispensers, so maybe. I thought Coke vanilla stopped when I was in middle school or high school. I think it tasted good for like one summer, but then I forgot about it ever since then. Now, some people are saying that, they should have stuck with Pepsi. Some people are saying Pepsi's a king over Coca-Cola. Now, and again, the price point is still staying the same, and that's been that way since, 1980s? So yeah, they're definitely not making money on this. But we'll see. I mean, I doubt this will have any, huge impact in terms of people refusing the iconic Costco combo. But again, I think it's going to be exceptionally good brand awareness and marketing for Coca-Cola. And really, I'm surprised. I'm a little disappointed they didn't dive into the details of the contract. In order to become like a true thing of legend, you want long-term awareness. Kind of like you think of the Costco combo, the $1.50 hot dog and fountain drink. I almost wonder what, and again, it's probably a loss leader, but why not? Maybe it's a 5-year, maybe a 10-year deal. I mean, why not go for a 20 or 30-year agreement? But it is unusual that, again, looks like it's after 12 years, which, again, most agreements, yeah, it is after 12 years. Most corporate agreements are usually in increments. Well, in software, it usually is 1, 3, or 5. That's where my tech company is usually coming from, those perspectives. But in terms of 1, 2, or 3 is actually probably the most common. I've seen a couple instances of like a 5-year licensing agreement. But yeah, in this case, it is very unusual for it to end after 12 years. Maybe it's just an annual renewal or annual renewal contract or extension. But we'll see how much people will care in terms of, well, does this make me not want to go to Costco, or does this inspire people to sign up for Costco? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Oh, now going over to the cultural part of the podcast, you have a 489 rapper named Dank demoss denied a Lyft for being too obese and is now suing Lyft for millions of dollars. Now, when I first heard this news, I heard the term or the individual's name is Dank demoss, which I thought was some type of venereal disease or an STD. If not that, I thought perhaps it was a type of tree or moss that you would see in maybe a forest or maybe a rainforest, or maybe it's related to a willow or a pine tree variant. But no, this is in fact a name of an individual, and it turns out to be a female rapper. Now, perhaps this is a brilliant scholar. Maybe it's the next Bach, Beethoven, or the Beatles, or Aerosmith. Perhaps a very, very intellectual individual with lyrics that really speak to the heart and the mind, and really is a philosophical beauty. I mean, probably not, but let's look at an example of her work. I'm sure they were highlighting her intellect and her ability, not at all showing off her monstrous or morbidly obese body. I'm sure it's all about the talent. Yeah, not so much, but we'll still take a look. And I should give a visual disclaimer here, folks. This, and again, I don't want anyone to get hurt by this. You may feel maybe like a gut reaction that you want to reach for the bottle of bleach and put it in your eyes in order to avert from this video. Not just me, but this alleged gal. Do not do that. Again, you should never do that. Just remember, this is a brief 6-second clip of her, and it'll be over soon. It might feel like an eternity. However, we'll get through it together. Now, perhaps the silver lining of the situation is that YouTube is notorious for taking music out of videos, so maybe you won't hear the music and you'll only see her. Is this dancing? I thought she was perhaps having a seizure. Now, this looks like she is at a concert in which she weighs debatably as much as a Sherman tank, which, again, if you want, I'm one of those folks where, well, fat shaming has shown to be, it worked for Lizzo. And again, I want people to have a long, fruitful, fulfilling life and, make themselves better mentally and physically every day. I'm a big fan of, I want everyone to be at their best or peak. And it's always very disappointing when people don't respect for their minds or their bodies. In this case, she clearly doesn't, as no one could weigh this much unintentionally. This is clear lack of disrespect for her body, not just because she's showing it off. You can see her belly is the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. I know I'm stalling because I don't want to see this, but we'll get through it. Now, the text on the screen says, quote, the tweet says, Detroit rapper Dank demoss, who previously sued Lyft after a driver refused her for being too big, fell backward while performing. Now, again, when you're doing activities in life, you always want to thank the support staff and the people around you, because you're only successful because of the team you build. In this case, the concert venue should be thanking the team, all the members that came together and built that stage. It is one of the best examples of robust engineering. I don't know what kind of steel they use, but I would be interested in case I ever need to build a skyscraper or a cage, or I was going to say even a Rottweiler, even like a dog cage, a Rottweiler, this would contain that, or a pit bull, because that steel is that strong to keep the stage up. But without too much further ado, let's hear and see what she has to offer. And she's okay. And again, she's okay. She bounced right back up, but clearly not someone who's a pinnacle of physical health. Now, going to the actual article here, they're talking about how she's suing Lyft now. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, and he says, quote, Lyft hit with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit over a driver telling this morbidly obese rapper his car isn't big enough for her. Her lawyers say it's segregation, which is as mentally vacuous as it is, morally vacuous, in terms of, I think that actually that belittles what evil things did happen in the United States previously. Now, again, now the silver lining of this situation is she is wearing more clothing than the previous video. Now, again, maybe she also has some health issues. I hope maybe that's one of the contributing factors of why she is so morbidly obese. Maybe. And again, I know some people who have some challenges in life, don't get me wrong. But again, clearly with diet and exercise, you can have a huge positive impact on your life. And I don't see any evidence of her doing this. Her legs are, I mean, one of her legs is equivalent to two of the legs of the gal walking next to her. But without too much further ado,
Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft.
Oh, fact check false. No one has ever watched the Detroit Lions. Come on. The Detroit Lions party? I mean, if anything, that's a depressing event where you all come around and cry because the team sucks. I mean, my family was from Detroit. There's a reason so many people leave. And also, I'm sure the Lions will be good like the Chicago Bears next year. Haha, sports pun. No, they won't.
To get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh man.
She already knew.
I can fit in this car.
But believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me.
He told her there's not enough room in his car.
The kicker part was when he started to talk about his tires. You know, I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like my tires, you know, like.
The driver said his tires could not handle her weight.
For every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car?
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber XL.
You know what? I don't never have to order Uber XL.
He apologized, canceled the ride, and left her there. The rapper says she's pretty tough.
Oh, my ears! I'm sorry. Oh, and now she's working or having a seizure. I can't tell.
Dank demoss, as she's known at the mic, is crushed by the whole situation.
I just want them to know, like, it really hurt my feelings.
It looks like Lyft might be hurting pretty soon, too.
I knew it was illegal, and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car.
Except you don't have a choice in those cases of your race. You're born with it.
I don't want to have Christians in my car or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
The lawsuit is...
I was about to say a cliche sleazy lawyer. And again, I'm no watch aficionado. I do appreciate handcrafted mechanisms, and someday I aspire to maybe have a Rolex before I die. Currently, it can't beat my green Garmin Forerunner. Partially because the ROI is infinite because I got it for free from a friend. But if I'm not mistaken, is that a Rolex Daytona, which cost about 2 of my Honda Civic SIs? And I don't know, to me, there's something less classy about gold jewelry. I don't know, but that just is weird to me. I don't like that.
Filed since she posted the encounter.
He has that on his wrist.
On social media, other full-figured folks have reached out saying the same thing happened to them.
Oh no, what will happen? Now, I was hoping they'd zoom out when you're looking at his vehicle, because again, you can see the door, or the passenger door, by the vehicle, and I thought you couldn't have coupes. And if you were on the Uber Lyft apps, it looks like it might be a coupe. And the gearhead in me is dying to, how do I not know this car? Well, it's obviously not Porsche or, something, or a Corvette or Camaro, or, something really cool. Oh, that's definitely too big to be a Honda S2000. But again, I don't think he was just making fun of her. I mean, his vernacular, his voice was not abrasive or making fun of or jeering at her. And again, depending on what car you have, that looks like a coupe where, I mean, it does not look like with her current measurements, she could fit in there. Now, with the tire thing, that's also a safety, not only in terms of, well, as all men should know, you always check your tire pressure before you're going on any long trips. You want to check your wear patterns. And vehicles do have weight ratings. I know most people don't read them, but if you look at their door sill, that's usually where they're posted. You'd be surprised, especially the more sporty the vehicle, how little weight you're supposed to add to it, even in the American market. Now, another reason this should be concerning from the driver safety perspective is low profile tires, which more and more sports cars have. That's where, simply put, instead of like a off-roading SUV or like a Toyota 4Runner where the tire thickness is, or diameter is about, maybe her thigh, it's maybe an inch or two. It's very, very thinner. And with those, you're especially, more worried about the pressure and also potholes where you're more likely to pop or having a mechanical failure. Again, from the look of this vehicle, and again, giving her body composure, it doesn't look like she would have fit. And if she could squeeze in, it doesn't look like it would be safe. Now, unfortunately, because of the laws of the United States and the cultural decay in the United States, it became a law in Michigan where weight is a protected class, which I find that abhorrent and ridiculous. Again, I realize there are some health issues that and it could be very big contributing factors to being obese. And I feel bad for those people. I have some in my life and I have sympathy for them. I do think, however, you can have a huge significant impact, even in those instances where proper diet and exercise will get you, into shape. You'll feel better mentally and physically. There's infinite reasons to go for it. And yet the bars dropped so low in society where a jury was probably going to give her millions of dollars in awards because of this. Where, again, his car looks pretty darn small. If you're a gearhead, or let me know if you can tell that car. It's driving me crazy. I can't actually name the make and model of that vehicle. But yeah, this went pretty well. I got 28.1 million views and 64,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes from Valentina Gomez, who says, quote, "She asked for a lift, not a forklift," getting 77,000 likes. Could we make it 78? No, but nevertheless, I did like it. Garther Eagleman says, quote, "She needs a treadmill, not a lift," getting 2,000 likes. Planet of Memes, finally, they did in fact respond in meme or meme form after all these days. Now they say, quote, "She obviously did not have this toy as a child. It's a little, well, I celebrate too soon. There's no text on the screen. Could it really be meme? But it does have a child trying to put the shapes into the cube with the different shape cutouts." That got 690 likes. Colin Rugg says her legs can barely support her, getting 1.4 thousand likes. Planet of Memes says, "How are the laws of physics discrimination?" getting 1.6 thousand likes. Paul Zupa says, "It's always someone else's fault, isn't it?" getting 3.4 thousand likes, which, again, it's one of those things where, that's one of the biggest cultural demises in the United States. It's not, just one group of people. It's a lot of Americans just want to acquiesce from any responsibility, whether it's their work or physical health. And again, if you want to succeed in life, I think you need to own responsibility. Scrolling right down more and more. Well, let's see here. Maybe a contrarian statement. Libercat Media TM says, quote, "If this dude could fit into a McLaren, that dude can definitely get into the Lyft vehicle." And here you do have, I'm very surprised he actually did fit. You have a morbidly obese man, jeez Louise, squeezing into a McLaren. And they literally, there's not a square inch of air left in that car, but they cram him in there. Handy fit. Again, for safety, I don't recommend that. I don't think that's safe to do or comfortable. But I did get 47 likes. You also have Matt Walsh saying, quote, "He should have just declined the ride without telling her the reason. Maybe she could consider swimming in the ocean for the transportation next time," getting 680 likes, which, again, walking is a very healthy thing to do, especially if you're downtown. Well, not health in terms of, crime downtown Detroit, but again, I'm a big fan of cycling. Well, not using the street, use a sidewalk cyclist, but, running, cycling, walking. Again, everything adds up and can improve your life, especially in the aggregate, which is why I'm always a fan of it. Scrolling down more and more, the Tyrant's Foe says, quote, "They can't make money off healthy people. They have an individual standing on a treadmill versus one in a hospital chair, or a hospital bed, rather." Says, quote, "There's no money in healthy people. There's no money in dead people. There's money right in the middle." And I'm sorry, the last picture on there is a gravestone, getting 206 likes. You also have Jessica saying, quote, "I think she missed the memo. DEI ended 6 years ago. You're no longer allowed to be the stupid and get away with it just because her skin is dark," getting 747 likes. World Hall of Fun says, "Shit, she barely fit the video," getting 1.5 thousand likes. Kazian says, quote, "Women makes bad life decision, wants society to bear the weight," 1,000 likes, which I'll give it a like just because I don't think he intended it, but I do appreciate perhaps the unintended pun because, bear the weight. I hope the pun was intended. I do. Yeah, jokes are underrated. Now you have a bunch of memes, or rather just pictures of cars on lifts, and then, oh gosh, a lot of people doing cutouts of her thighs. You also have Tactical Edge saying, quote, "She could not even fit in the back of a vehicle or a car, while the only car she's suitable for is an 18-wheeler truck." And here you can see her with the dog, and she's sitting in the back. Is this her? I'm sorry. Maybe this is her trying to sing. Looks like she's in the back of it. That Honda CRV? No. Maybe? And she's rapping in sweatpants.
Fuck them cute bitches or bitches, my mind different. Please don't get it twisted, my pussy was fine different. If you thought I liked it, the pussy a crime different. Y'all fucking on these niggas, I been heads, they been trans. Big boss, yeah. They never lacking, I been walking on the same. Yeah.
I can't decide what I find more viscerally disgusting. The visual of her squirming around in the back of the vehicle and putting undue necessary stress on the suspension, or her lyrics and lack of eloquence. It boggles my mind that people still like her music. Again, there's nothing wrong with rap. It's great for lifting. Shoot, I've turned on the Eminem from time to time. But yeah, but I'm sure the females call this empowerment, of course. Ridiculous. And there's just a bunch of more memes of people, big people eating. A lot of people comparing her to Garfield the cat. And yeah, it is sad the cultural decay has gone so much in the United States that she'll probably win this lawsuit and get millions of dollars because of poor health decisions. And again, this guy wasn't trying. Again, even this guy was trying to be polite. He wasn't, calling her a fatty or comparing her to a whale or anything like that. He was just saying, hey, my car can't handle this. And again, also, if she somehow fit in the car, it would not have been healthy. I mean, it would have been safe. If they got in an accident, she'd be screwed. Part of the safety rating of a vehicle is having a crumple zone. So the more space in front of you, if your car, had a collision, the more space in front of you, the better. And yet, in this case, there'd be like no air left in that vehicle, let alone space. But I mean, let me know. I think she's going to win this lawsuit, as stupid as that sounds. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have former HHS head Rachel Levine in a video going viral as RFK Jr. is being questioned. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, in which he says, quote, "This is a real video from the HHS under Biden. 0 Democrats voted against confirming him," which in this case, you have this YouTube video probably just got taken down, which is why you should always watch it on Rumble, in which you have Rachel Levine, which is a biological man who decided to transition. Well, that being said, maybe some people are just jealous of his hair. It is pretty good hair. Maybe I'm just jealous. Though, he didn't suit up as all men should. But nevertheless, it's about a minute long of insufferability.
Hello, I'm Admiral Rachel Levine. This Black History Month, I'm pleased to partner with OMH in advancing better health through better understanding for Black communities. Climate change is having a disproportionate effect on the physical and mental health of Black communities. Black Americans are more likely than white Americans to live in areas and housing that increase their susceptibility to climate-related health issues.
Which political party was behind redlining again? I partially digress.
And 65% of Black Americans report feeling anxious about climate change's impact.
Bullshit. I've asked my African-American friends, no one cares a damn about that. You know what people care about? Healthy, affordable food, jobs, a good economy, cheap gasoline so you can get to your job and your fun activities, and perhaps, maybe you need 58,000 gallons if you need to, have a heavy wrapper in your vehicle being transported, which, again, dramatically decreases fuel economy when you have such bolsterous amounts of weights in the vehicle. But, no one with a modicum of intelligence is anxious about climate impact. I mean, these politicians are all about climate change. They're also the same ones buying, big mansions on the coast of Florida. It's only about halfway through the insufferability, but we'll get through it together.
Through our Office of Climate Change and Health Equity and the Office of Environmental Justice, we're working with providers and community leaders to identify innovative approaches that empower communities to address the health consequences linked to climate change. Visit hhs.gov for more information and tune in next Thursday to hear from another HHS leader on how you can contribute to advancing better health for Black communities.
For more information, visit hhs.gov/black-history-
Yeah. That did get 2.2 million views, though. It was 27,000 likes. One of the first memes coming from anti-woke memes. A+ for marketing. They did, in fact, respond in meme forms. I quote, "Mental illness versus make America healthy again. It's not even a competition." Here you can see the morbidly obese man pretending to be a woman, Rachel Levine, being labeled the Department of Health 2021 with a juxtaposition of a picture of RFK Jr. says Department of Health 2025. And a lot of people are speculating he's on testosterone and a couple of those substances because his biceps are ridiculously large. They got 680 likes. You have AKA saying, quote, "What a disgrace." I'm guessing they just had a majority at the time, getting 166 likes. Paul Zazupa says, quote, "This guy should have a restraining order against him so he's not allowed near children," getting 397 likes. You also have Maria Isabella saying, quote, "Funny how they don't have a problem with him, right?" And then it's a picture of Rachel Levine. And it says, quote, "I'm an expert in mental health and food disorders," said the obese man who thinks he's a woman. Getting 951 likes. Fweedom, spelled Fweedom, says, quote, "Senate nearly confirms Rachel Levine as Assistant Health Secretary." And it says Senators Susan Collins, Republican from Maine, and Lisa Murkowski, Republican from Alaska, were the only two Republicans to vote in favor of Levine's confirmation, which, yeah, there are a lot of useless rhinos out there. That's why we still have the NFA Act of 1934, which makes it a pain in the rear to buy fun things, and I would argue constitutional right things, like machine guns, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, destructive devices, and all those types of things. If there weren't rhinos, that law wouldn't exist. Or the act, rather. I got 225 likes. You also have Hassa Trad saying, quote, "Which one seems sane?" And you have Raised by Kamala, which looks like something like the Joker. It looks like associate of Joker in the Batman universe. Then you have Raised by Trump, and it's, Baron Trump in a suit looking fancy as always, getting 218 likes. POTUS Note says, "Did you see the unedited first version?" I'm guessing it's a Photoshop, not Photoshop, but let's see. Yeah, he's getting 45 likes. You also have a picture of sheep and then you have a wolf in sheep sweater. It says, quote, "Trans sheep are sheep," getting 233 likes from House of Trad. So interesting to see, what used to be leading the United States health and what we might be in the future. And again, this is not the first time we're going to see the last administration ineptitudes be highlighted and go viral. And I wonder how many people actually believed and tuned into Rachel Levine. Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, Bernie Sanders roasting RFK Jr., while at the same time, just coincidentally, being a top pharma donor recipient. In fact, they're pretty much all Democrats. Such a weird coincidence. Almost as if they have a huge fiscal benefit from pushing certain substances and supporting the pharma industry. Now, this comes to us thanks to Optimism Capital, which says, quote, "RFK Jr. calls out Bernie Sanders directly to his face." And another funny thing about Bernie Sanders, the biggest hypocrite of all time, he used to rally against the billionaires are evil and capitalism is bad. And now, once he became a millionaire, now he says billionaires are bad because he became a millionaire. Here's Bernie Sanders, which is the only thing Bernie Sanders has done. Well, he's in the public sector most of his life. I don't think you could argue he's contributed nothing to society, but he did do one thing right in his life. He did wear a suit. I'll give him some credit. He wears a suit. He suited up for the occasion.
I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? It's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Mm-hmm. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh,
protecting their interests.
Oh,
he is.
I thought that would come. No. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
The workers at those companies. Almost as if they have a vested interest in him getting in power and staying in power.
In 2020, you were the single largest
because I had small contributions from workers all over this country. Workers,
you were the
not a nickel from corporate tax.
You were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in the industry.
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but...
Did you just say 45 million out of 200? Did he?
Oh,
Let's hear it again.
From workers.
See here.
corporate
Bernie,
tax.
you were the single largest
From
acceptor of
workers-
pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in the industry.
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but you have not answered. Last question. You have.
This went pretty well. Got 13 million views and 118,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Autism Capital, which is just a gentleman smoking a cigar, getting 4.8 thousand likes. You also have Paul Zupa saying, quote, now it's time. Now that's just embarrassing for Bernie, getting 686 likes. There's a picture of Bernie, AI picture of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren getting 1.4 thousand likes. Their sweater says, quote, we slept with Big Pharma, getting 1.4 thousand likes. You also have Elizabeth Warren dressed up as Native American, which another thing she scammed us at. And she's yelling at RFK Jr. says, you'll never be confirmed. Then behind her, she's actually a puppet controlled by Big Pharma. And that got 2.4 thousand likes. Mays also says, good for you, RFK Jr. Bernie is one of the biggest frauds in government. What a grifter. Yep, being 3.3 thousand likes. Never forget how weak, spineless, and pathetic Bernie Sanders is. When he was running for the presidential nominee back in was it 2016? Or was it 2020? One of the years. Well, he actually got a majority of the votes. The voters wanted Bernie. But the Democrat Party used their superdelegates because they don't care about what the people want. They all said, you know what? We know better. We're going to install Hillary Clinton. So that would be 2016. So again, the people of the Democrat Party voted for Bernie Sanders. And yet they installed Hillary Clinton, which perhaps you should be thankful in retrospect because she lost epically. But Bernie went crawling back to the Democrat Party. If they burned him so badly, how weak and pathetic is it for him to go crawling back to them and still shill for them just as he can make more money? From the man who says, money and capitalism are bad. Which again, some of his money he actually did make from publishing books, which is, well, with books, I guess with politicians, you could argue that's money laundering, how they work with that and the speaking fees. But in some of it, he probably got some money in terms of, people buying his book. Now, interestingly enough, let's look at this chart. This chart comes to us thanks to Elon Musk. And specifically, he's reposting for someone by the name of a Midwestern doctor, in which they say, quote, the hostility Robert F. Kennedy Jr. experienced at his hearing was directly proportional to how much pharma money each senator received. In fact, each of them simply repeated the same attacks we saw from the media, mass media, all of which are blatant lies. So who's at the top of that list of people getting money from pharma industry? Again, some employees. Bernie Sanders got $1.953 million. He claims to be an independent. He's a Democrat or leftist Marxist. You also have Raphael, not the cool Ninja Turtle, Warnock, the Democrat from Georgia, 1.7 million. Elizabeth Warren, 1.2 million. Ryan Wyden, I'll be honest, never heard of that guy. Democrat again. Oregon gave 1.2 million. Michael Burnett, Colorado, 730,000. Christine Cortez Masto, $500,000. Maggie Hassan, $467,000. Ben Ray Lugan, Rhode Island. I always forget that's a state because they're so insignificant. You got 351,000. Maria Cantwell, Washington, 338,000. Tina Smith, Minnesota, 226,000. And Peter Welch, Vermont, 176,000. And looky there, Democrat. Now, again, some Republicans do get that money. I do find it fascinating that they're not at the top. And this chart got, or rather, now they chart more of an infographic, got 16.7 million views and 177,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, who said, quote, this tells me Big Pharma owns the Democrat Party, getting 2,000 likes. Interesting in which party was the one pushing the jab. You also have Planet of Memes. Finally, they responded in May form. It's the recycle sign, but it's been replaced with the vernacular, naming it American Healthcare. As Big Pharma feeds bought politicians, which go into taxpayer money, which goes in Big Pharma. And the circle goes more and more, getting 540 likes. Basic Electrician says, quote, a complete slap in the face to the American voter, getting 15 likes. Should have got more than that. Now you have I Love American News, say MAGA is the future. And, well, it's definitely a dated reference, but a good one nevertheless. It's actually from the Twilight Zone. You have the gentleman, main host of the show, who says, quote, imagine, if you will, a Democrat Party so corrupt Kennedy endorses Trump, getting 390 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Oh, I remember that quote. Natalie Danielsheen says this needs to happen. Pretty sure this is from Robin Williams' movie. Is it Majority? What was it? It's the one where he ran for president and won as a comedian. It says politicians should wear sponsored jackets like NASCAR drivers. Then we know who owns them. Getting 1.1 thousand likes, which I'd be a fan of that. You also have, what's this? Time to be Sharp. Interesting, unique name. Says, quote, fascinating, isn't it? And it's a picture of AI generated picture of Elizabeth Warren in a NASCAR suit. And it has all the major pharma companies. You got Merck, or Johnson Johnson, Lilly, Pfizer. And I got 67 likes. You also have, one more. Liberty Pill Meme says, lefties be like, and you got the pregnant man emoji saying, quote, RFK is a science denier. Yeah. Yep. And that got 243 likes. So yeah, not too surprised. And again, well, I don't know if it's, and again, these coming from people who work at the pharma companies. Again, fascinating to see the resource distribution of where they donate, kind of like big tech companies. But let me know in the comments if you're surprised, your feedback, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Elizabeth Warren having a meltdown over the RFK Jr. hearings for HHS. I can't believe some might argue she went off reservation. Aha, Native American pun, because she's one of those evil people who lied about her ethnicity to steal a scholarship when she was in college. Or if you went to public school, as it's spelled, collage, or pronounced. Fun, we need to increase our test scores, ideally probably by homeschooling. Now this comes to us thanks to Maze, and he says, quote, Elizabeth Warren is a unhinged Karen, which she does have that haircut, not that I have much to brag about in regards to my haircut. And it's slightly, well, mostly insufferable, but it's only 23 seconds long, so it might feel like an eternity because it's Elizabeth Warren speaking. But she's in the public office, she has some power worth paying attention, even if it does perhaps kill a brain cell or two. Now, without too much further ado, maybe I'm perhaps jumping to conclusions. Perhaps she gives some very articulate ideals and questions that really make RFK Jr. think and ponder before his answer, and maybe we all come out of this a little bit smarter. I mean, no, absolutely not, but nevertheless.
You have said you're asking me. You have said you're asking me, Senator. You're asking me not to sue vaccine.
Sound issue.
You have said you're asking me, Senator. You're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing. Look. Vaccine.
Which, apologies. Well, though, if it wasn't for tech work perfectly all the time, I wouldn't have a job. Sponsored by Topping Technologies. Again, free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Probably not the best, smartest idea from a hazard perspective, but I mean, it is a blast. Look at the YouTube. I have a video myself where I use the flamethrower. It's a real lot of fun. And this went pretty far. I got 1 million views and 37,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Washington Ghost saying, quote, someone like that has no business in government. She clearly can't control her emotions. Getting 1.1 thousand likes. Yeah. Base electrician, A+ for marketing, you know exactly what he is and what he thinks, says, quote, this should be saved and used for primary challenger Elizabeth Warren. Completely cringe, getting 58 likes, which, again, that being said, she's in such a blue area. Anything that's even remotely not radical leftist, I don't think they'd win. I would hope, but I don't think that's statistically likely. Kind of like how California keeps voting blue in the shitties, cities. We also have Paul Zupa saying, quote, that's one nice way of putting it, getting 21 likes. The right answer says, quote, for someone who claims to be against big pharma, Warren seems really worried about RFK Jr. going after pharmaceutical companies, getting 1.1 thousand likes, which, again, one of the most radical ideas that RFK Jr. has brought to the forefront is removing the immunity, well, pun rightly intended, of pharma companies being exempt from liability lawsuits. Again, it's very unique. No other industry has this. If you make a car that, is inherently unsafe, like the brakes don't work, something like that, you can sue the car company. If you make a food that makes people sick, you can sue that company. There's a very unique exemption for the healthcare industry and specifically big pharmaceutical industries. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's because, they make so little money. Well, shoot, they'd be buried in lawsuits. They'd never be afford to make another, vaccine again or another product again. To which I would argue, statistically speaking, it's one of the most profitable industries in the world. Well over 50% profit margins. People think, healthcare is so broken in the United States because of health insurance companies. Don't get me wrong, some are bloated and ineffective. However, from a perspective of finances, mostly publicly traded, you can look at their 10K statements. Average, United Healthcare, I think, was about 2.3% profit margin last fiscal quarter. So, yeah, big pharma saying they can't afford something, that's hilarious. It's not true. Especially when you look at a lot of the resources that they spend in terms of fiscal cost. One of the biggest budget line items is advertising. Very unique also in the United States. One or two countries where that is allowed. Now, let me see if there's any contrary. I'm not seeing any contrarian statements here. Yeah, Crow's Nest saying, quote, there's no way that any senator to treat a nominee for government service as a leader, you need to censor this kind of behavior. Getting 10 likes says you have her slightly more viscerally disgusting than usual screenshot of her face, which, okay, let's be honest. If you take a screenshot of anyone, they'll look bad. I mean, it's usually just a percentage of, how much of the video is, looking awkward, which don't have much ground to stand on. If you look at most of the screenshots, if you take a screenshot of this video, it'll be mostly awkward or hilarious pictures of me. But nevertheless, kind of funny to see her like that, getting 10 likes. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see how much they continue to fight this, or, even if he is confirmed, like, what do they, let's see here. I thought they'd have one more good comment or meme, nevertheless. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Donald Trump signing an executive order banning trans surgery for minors, a major win for anyone with a modicum of intelligence or morality. Now, this comes to us thanks to Autism Capital, in which they say, quote, breaking, Trump signs executive order banning trans surgery for minors in the United States. Now, this is a very serious topic. However, maybe make light of the situation, I'll try a Trump impression, which it might be the worst Trump impression you hear all year, but perhaps it's an accolade in and of itself. In which he says, quote, today it has been my great honor to sign the executive order banning the capital castration and medical mutilation of innocent children in the United States. Our nation will no longer promote, sponsor, fund, or assist or support so-called gender-affirming care, which has already ruined far more many precious lives. My executive order directs agencies to use every capable means to cut off federal financial participation in institutions which seek to provide these barbaric medical procedures that should have never been taking place. Unquote. Which, yeah, that was probably my worst Trump impression. I'm not gonna lie. The attempt was made nevertheless, and did get 57.7 million views and 45,000 likes. Not this video, obviously, but well, statistically speaking, that would never happen. But if you like the video, I'd appreciate it nevertheless. And yeah, it is. If you look at the finances of hospitals, a lot of them have some participation with the government in one way or another, even if the hospital is privately owned, just because of some of their patients. And yeah, one of the biggest lies Democrats ever said, and leftists, not all my Democrat friends believe in this, the transing of kids and the minor surgeries. Gotta make that delineation. It's mostly radical leftists, but it's concerning that more and more of them are making a bigger percentage of the Democrat Party. One of the biggest lies I ever said was that puberty blockers were totally, they literally, they told us to our face, yet our lie, add that to the dictionary thick length book of lies, that they said it was completely reversible, which is BS. They also said, well, kids are getting these surgeries. It's once they're 18 and above. It's not happening, we were told, which, again, the same leftist lies. They always say, one, this isn't happening. Two, they say, well, it's only happening a little bit. Three, they say it's happening. It's a good thing. You should accept it. And then, lastly, they say, not only do you need to accept it, you need to praise it. Well, one of the biggest arguments they used to make, or they try to make, is, oh, well, you need to, if you don't do this, the kid will try to end their lives, which no one with a soul would ever say they want their kids to end their lives, ever. Now, the issue with them using this emotional argument is they're always trying to use emotional manipulation to gain hearts and minds. People convince them that their side of the argument is right. Their side of the argument is, in fact, completely 110% false. And one of the biggest issues is, well, not only have we've never done this before in modern U.S. history, other evil countries have tried this, mostly Germany, but it's one of those things where the suicide rates is the same regardless of if you have the surgery or not. Again, you have some of these kids as little as 10 years old getting mastectomies. It is so viscerally and morally disgusting. It's concerning. It's creepy how moms are usually the one doing this. The father is usually absent or dead inside or spineless. But yeah, you see this happening in other states like California. Now, this is more and more states are banning the practice. Now, we're getting a directive from the federal government now. This is going to be, I don't think it's going to end today. I pray and wish it was. But I think you're going to have major hospitals in major states and major pharmaceutical companies going up against Trump and getting this settled into the court, which at the end of the day, I do think it will get up to the Supreme Court, like many cases do. And at that point, the Supreme Court will rule that, yeah, there's no way this is protected. There's no way this is going to be legal. It'll be banned. Again, majority of people in the U.S. say, yeah, once you're 18, do whatever you want. I would argue your body still isn't fully developed until your mid to late 20s. So can you really make a cognitive, intelligent decision? I would argue probably not. But yeah, it's one of those instances where at the end of the day, I think it will be long-term ruled illegal. And no, at the end of the day, I hope it's not accepted by anyone. And yeah, this is a big win. And again, in terms of promises made versus promises delivered, I think Donald Trump is one of the most successful presidents in our lifetime. I mean, the number of things not just, fixing the border and sending the Marines there, which any leader would have done that day one in regards to protecting our border, but also, protecting small businesses, getting the oil industry back on their feet so we can get cheap gas, and also medically protecting these kids too. I mean, he has probably one of the highest I don't know what sporting vernacular I want to use, a batting rate or a hitting percentage. I'm so positively excited I can barely speak coherently, which is saying something. Well, maybe it's not saying something because that's something I am constantly striving to do better, but this is great news. Now, the swim pre-volatile, again, got 57.7 million views and 45,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Libertcrat Media TM, and it's a picture of a girl in a dress saying, quote, "There's no such thing as a trans child," getting 626 likes. Also, it's a picture of a kid throwing up a rainbow saying, "Leave the kids alone," getting 469 likes. Which, again, I will make a delineation. There are a lot of people in the LGBT, whatever acronym community, they are against this. A very popular profile I do like on the X Twitter is Gays Against Groomers, in which they are viscerally against these types of surgeries. You also have Elon Musk, or rather a quote from Elon Musk from I Love America News saying, quote, well, it's Elon, so I can't do his voice. I can try another time perhaps. "Any parent or doctor who sterilizes a child before they're a consenting adult should go to prison for life," unquote. And that got 1,000 likes, which, I would argue, whatever happened to do no harm. Alistair Cleesom says, quote, "How is this controversial is beyond me," and is a very popular metaphor, but I think it speaks to be truth. You have a comic of a kid pointing at a tattoo parlor, says, "Can I get that?" And the mom goes, "You're not old enough for that." And then the mom takes the child into a, quote, gender-affirming surgery clinic, which another argument of vernacular, they always like to use terms that are in their favor, make up terms like gender-affirming care, or, they call it, what do they call abortions on the Democrat Party? They call it, it's health care, which not for the child, no. That got 369 likes. Another popular argument is, a kid is not allowed to not just get a tattoo, but they also aren't allowed to smoke, and they can't, it is amazing, but this is one thing where they're like, oh yeah, they should be able to do this permanent damage to your body. You also have, let's see here, a lot of people just using the meme saying winning. You also have Peep Perspective saying, quote, "The fact that this is even a thing speaks volumes. We have become seriously greedy and evil people in our healthcare system." Yep, Trump will put a stop to the transgender madness affecting kids, getting 257 likes, which, again, that's another issue. Is there's a huge, or Trump would say, huge financial incentive for pharmaceutical companies because, again, once you go down the path of transitioning, is a lifetime of recurring revenue from those, not just physical surgeries, but also for the chemical drugs that they assign to you. One of them, which is used to assign to, try to keep this, it's hard to keep this part of the show moderately family friendly, but I'm trying. They give a drug to people who hurt people in the worst way so that they can't do it anymore. They give it to men who hurt other people in the worst possible way so they cannot do it anymore. It's called Lupron. And you have Matt Walsh famously had the documentary where he confronts a doctor, says, well, why do you give this drug to kids? Great question. And I don't think it's coincidence that doctor had, short blue hair as a radical leftist. Let's see. I don't see any contrarian statements thus far. You also have Kyle saying, quote, "It's pathetic that it took Trump to reverse. Should be outlawed in general," getting 853 likes. Mr. Medic says, quote, "Huge transformation from the Biden administration," getting 962 likes. Also have Bull Moose American saying, quote, "Children cannot consent. God bless President Trump for choosing sanity," getting 119 likes. Now, again, I can bet your bottom dollar is going to be put into the court systems. There will be lawsuits left and right. But again, thank God this will save a lot of kids in the meantime. But there will be some states and areas like California where they're going to argue to the red of the face that this should be allowed. But let me know, do you think this will continue? Or I guess the real question is, do you think majority of Americans agree with Donald Trump? I venture to say they do. And then let me know, do you think, it'd be nice if it was, but do you think this is, said, done, this topic, the book is closed, so to say? Or do you think it'll probably end up in the courts and all the way get up to the Supreme Court? Let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Honda recalling nearly 300,000 vehicles for software issues. Now, thankfully, Honda Civic, still solid as a rock, not affected. Our Gen 10 3-pedal baby is still fine. Now, this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com, and specifically Christopher Smith, who's a writer there, is credited. And they say, quote, "Honda just recalled a bunch of cars over stalling engines. The recall affects nearly 300,000 Honda Pilots, Acura TLXs, and MDXs with V6 engines," which Looks okay for styling, though. Perhaps a little, I don't know, not my cup of tea. Although I'm American, so I'll probably say not my glass of bourbon. Though I'm also a health nut, so I would probably say, not my cup of coffee. Which also isn't made in America, but nevertheless, diving into the article substance, they say, quote, Honda has recalled 294,612 vehicles, including the ones aforementioned. The problem highlights an obvious safety risk, but thankfully the fix is an easy software update. Still, with well over 250,000 vehicles affected, this is one of the largest automaker recalls so far in 2025, which, yeah, is the first, but you bet your bottom dollar, it won't be the last. You can see the Acura, obviously the luxury brand of Honda, which, in comparison, looks awesome. Now, they say, quote, the issues relegated to the V6 engines in the 2022 to 2025 Acura MDX Type S, the 2021 to 2025 TLX Type S, uninspiring name, and the 2023 to 2025 Honda Pilot, which at least is a name. According to the recall documents, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, a software glitch in the computer for the fuel system could lead to a, quote, sudden change in the throttle opening that could either reduce the power or stall the engine altogether. It is worth noting that the recall mentions no mention of engine speed suddenly going up. So at least there hasn't been too many of those scary issues thus far. They note that a more detailed explanation points the finger at Denso, which, if you ever pop the hood of a Japanese automobile, seems to be about half the parts in Toyotas as well as Hondas. Now, Denso, I would say is pretty much the Japanese equivalent to Bosch, which is the world's largest subcontractor manufacturer for vehicle components, them being headquartered in Germany. Now, they say that Denso, the supplier of the problematic computer, apparently the settings on the, quote, correction control logic of the airflow rate and fuel ejection volumes were improper, according to recall documents. The takeaway is that in some circumstances, this could trigger a certain type of failure that can stall the engine. Now, thankfully, they say a simple software update can fix the problem. The company will notify affected owners beginning March 17th, or just tune into the show since we're usually about a month or two ahead of these recalls. Now, they also note this isn't something, this pretty inconvenient for owners because this is not an over-the-wire fix. Now, they note that this is not something that can be fixed over-the-wire update. It does require a visit to an authorized Honda or Acura dealership. Now, looks like they already got warranty claims adding up. The problem was first noticed in early December 2023. A little late to the table with this recall, Honda. But Honda already had through telematics data. Well, at least they figured it out. In April 2024, Denso advised Honda there could be a software issue. Then on January 9th, Honda determined that the engine could stall. A week later after that, the company issued the recall. Now, thankfully, silver lining the situation. I don't know if it's a pun mildly intended, but here's a silver SUV on the screen. Nevertheless, they note that the automaker is not aware of any injuries or crashes, but there are 674 warranty claims related to the problem. Now, again, it's good for the silver lining of the consumer is that this won't cost them a dime in terms of, it's a recall, so it has to get fixed as a manufacturer. Bad news is for, the consumer and the dealerships. Well, the dealerships, they get paid a discount rate for warranty work. So, the guys turning wrenches aren't happy. They can be upselling the customer on other maintenance or other, accessories or installs there. So they're losing out on money in that regard. And also, depending on how quickly you can flash this or how quickly you update the software, maybe it's like a Microsoft update that takes 30 seconds, or maybe it takes 30 minutes like sometimes the laptop tends to need. So it could be as inconvenient as maybe you have to actually leave your car there overnight. Then you have to deal with a loaner, getting a Lyft or an Uber or something like that if you could fit inside. And it just is not a great experience. But again, the number one thing Honda has going for it, they're supposed to be reliable. It's the reason I chose my 2008. And again, I love my Honda Civic Si. Only comes with a stick shift like all fun cars should have. I chose that over the Ford Focus ST, even though the Ford was less expensive. It had more torque, more horsepower, and more, to be frank, a little bit more fun driving it, though it could not fit my rifle case, so a little fail. An American company, come on, Ford, call yourself American, nevertheless. But I chose the Honda because it is a more reliable brand, and shoot, I'll give Honda credit. My parents have a 2001 Honda Accord they bought new. Still to this day runs like a champ. The Honda brand is reliability and making manual transmissions. I love that they keep that alive. The fact that they have more and more of these recalls where, again, this is your subcontractor. Again, Denso made it, not Honda, but part of being the manufacturer. And again, it's hard. Got about 10 to 30,000 components in a vehicle. It's one of the most complex things you'll ever buy, you'll ever own. But they should be redoubling their efforts in terms of actually qualifying these materials when they get them and testing them to make sure there's not these issues. Because again, Honda, you're known for being reliable. It blows my mind you're going to buy Nissan, which is the antithesis of reliability, but another topic for another time perhaps. Just completely ridiculous, Honda. And I gotta say, I don't know who's in charge of your department in terms of, making sure everything is safe and working when you're working with these subcontractors, these suppliers, but the fact that they just didn't do enough quality assurance in this case, and they have to have a recall, and you have to actually go to the dealership to get it fixed. Gotta say, Honda, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.